This is We the People on WKM News. Lisa Seng, Shadday, Rick Russo. We're absolutely blessed to have Congressman Luke Messer with us, who I've been pestering for the last several years. He keeps getting on in front of the camera. Thank you for being there. Well, this is your picnic.
Yeah, I mean, what an exciting day. Great for you guys to be here. 400 folks that were here at a big, great American picnic. And, you know, it's a celebration of everything great about our country. And admire both of you and glad to be here, have a chance to talk to you.
The biggest question I've got is, what do you say to the millennials who are so totally disaffected by the political process that want to sit out either the presidential, I don't know if they sit out the governor, but you know, the presidential. I mean, we need to run the table, I think.
Well, I think you're right. First, I think it's important to recognize if you're a millennial, let's say you're somebody under 30, right? What have you seen out of politics in your life? Right? First, you saw the last 4 years of the Bush presidency, which in one way I certainly admire Mr. Bush and his commitment to stopping terrorism, but it was a very disaffected time in our country. Folks started to question some of the premise of why we went into Iraq. You went into this hope and change election of Barack Obama. Much of that wasn't delivered upon. And so what they've seen out of a process is it's a process that hasn't worked very well, that's not really making America the America we've all grown up knowing, right? A place where if you work hard, stay focused, good things can happen. I think the debate in front of us, who our next leader is going to shape really the lifetime of a millennial, right? Because they're now coming into more or less their breadwinning years. And if we go backwards, if we go back to socialism, to the top-down ideas of the left, ideas that, by the way, are failing today in places like Europe, that don't make any sense if you just kind of think about the human spirit and how we all seek freedom and opportunity. That's what America's founded on, right? A couple hundred years ago. So in this election, you have a choice between really two options. Hillary Clinton, with nobody can be more about going backwards than Hillary Clinton. I mean, my goodness, the Clintons have been part of this country and its challenges over the last 30 years. Or Donald Trump, right? That's the choice. There's no George Washington, no Abe Lincoln that's going to step forward here. And Ronald Reagan, but this is our choice. And I think when you look at that choice, it's not a very close choice. You know, ultimately, we can't go 4 more years without calling our enemy by its name and marshaling the resources it takes to defeat ISIS. We can't afford to allow the Supreme Court justices of the left to be appointed in ways that will frankly take away freedom. That's what they do time and time again. And we can't continue to have policies that both history and current events demonstrate don't work. I mean, this idea that you can somehow, that if we could just bring a little more government to our economy, that somehow we'd all have a better chance. What we got to do is empower individuals, personal responsibility, choices, and freedom. That's really what the conservative movement's all about. Unfortunately, we got to get millennials to understand that's what we're all about.
The clock's ticking on this, and like you just said, and you delivered a very Reagan-esque speech in there. It's hopeful. We have a future if it comes through. But if we don't get it right this time,
I think that's right. I mean, listen, I try to be very honest with folks about the challenge we face. I don't think it does us any good to be a Pollyanna or to try to pretend that our choices are different than they are. Yes. But I think we've got to understand the story I was able to tell, but before your listeners, they of course didn't hear it, but was a story of the Revolutionary War, when leaders in this nation came together and signed the Declaration of Independence in a big, bold move that frankly for many of them was their death warrant, right? And Benjamin Franklin famously said at that moment that we should better all hang together or we will most assuredly hang separately. And there are disagreements within the conservative movement. There are disagreements among folks that wouldn't even call themselves a conservative at all. But if you love everything about America that we grew up in, that's what Donald Trump's saying when he says he wants to make America great again. What that really means is that we want to make America, once again, a place where the free stay free, where if you work hard, you can build a life for yourself, where you can leave your home and feel safe and know that you're not going to be gunned down in the street, because this is a place of law and order. And I believe when we have an opportunity over the next 90 days to make that case to the American people, they're going to make the right choice.
Well, another thing you said today was it's a shocking thing for people to hear anymore is God's still in charge. And for us to try to guess that Donald Trump isn't what God has in choice, in charge for us, or his thought process for us, we don't know what God's plans are, but if we let God be in charge, then we're going to go in the right direction. And thank you for saying that today.
Well, and what I said today was that God is in charge, that we have a responsibility, like the classic story of the man waiting on the flood, for those of you people of faith out there, that you have a responsibility to also step forward and do your work too. Mm-hmm. And as that specifically references Mr. Trump, I just would suggest to anyone that's a person of faith that God, throughout human history, has used imperfect people.
Exactly.
Right? Because, by the way, that's the only kind of people he has to work with.
Shocking.
There's no perfect people. Some are maybe a little less perfect than others. I think in some ways, of course, there's my areas of disagreement I have with Mr. Trump. But this is the choice before us. I think it's a choice that will shape the next generation of this nation, and I continue to have faith in the common sense and wisdom of the American people when given the best information before them. Now, what's that mean for your individual listeners? I think we all have a responsibility to do our work, to communicate to our friends and neighbors, to present it, and frankly, our leaders have to do their work too, right? We all have to humble ourselves and recognize our own challenges and move forward. My hope is Mr. Trump will find that voice in the next 90 days. And what I know is I'm sure not for Hillary Clinton, right? There's just no way, as I said before, that we can allow her to appoint 3 Supreme Court justices, that our nation can afford 4 more years of not calling our enemy by our name and not stepping forward to fight ISIS, the battle of good and evil in our generation. And we can't afford 4 more years of the failed economic policies that are frankly robbing opportunity from everyday working Americans. So we're all going to keep hustling and working hard.
Thank you for your time, Congressman. God bless you.
Thanks.
We're praying for you every day.
We need it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Rick Roos, Lisa Seng, Shadday, and Congressman Luke Messer, thank you very much for watching We the People on WKM News.